Even in grade school, Angela May knew what she wanted to do in life. She began her television career as a reporter for Channel 5's Meanstreets and eventually became one of the most popular news anchors in Charleston television history. I had a chance to talk with her for a special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. Well, Angela, you know when I approached you about interviewing you for Quintin's Close-Ups a couple of weeks ago, you told me.
Okay, reluctantly, because I'm not used to being on this side of the interview process.
Right.
You know, I like to hear other people's stories. I have like 20 questions I could ask you right now, but
yeah.
he won't let me.
Hey, but the reason why I wanted to approach you and interview you for Quintin's Close-Ups is because a lot of people haven't seen you really since you left Channel 4. Of course, we see you from time to time on the St. Francis healthcare updates. But beyond that, tell me, how are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful. Better than ever.
Yeah.
So thank you for asking.
Yeah. And off camera, we were talking about your two kids and how busy you are with them. So as we sit here right now, tell me, how are they?
Oh, they are busy, and they keep me busier than I could have ever imagined, but they make my life full. They are 4 and 2 years old.
That's awesome. And speaking of busy, a lot of people don't know this, but you have your own PR firm, Media.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so when I made it was a really hard decision
Sure.
to leave Channel 4 because I love the family there. You and I worked there together as well.
That's right.
But I just knew deep down that something was nudging me, something bigger and greater. So, the season has ended here. Let's go and do something else.
Yes.
So when I left, I kind of, pondered what to do, and then slowly but surely things kind of fell into place to start, my small little, I guess, you could call it a little boutique media and PR company. And so I have a very small list of clients, but I love and cherish my clients. Roper St. Francis being one of the biggest ones. I mean, what a great team of people to work with.
Yeah.
And so that kind of helps me feel like I'm still doing media-related work, but just, in my own structured hours and not dark 30 in the morning.
Exactly.
Like I used to do.
And you say something unique, which I really love, is that you work with the companies that you actually believe in.
Yes.
So tell me, how's it like working with Roper St. Francis, knowing that they actually believe in you?
Oh gosh, it's a privilege. I mean, I feel very blessed, and I always have been, and especially more blessed than ever once I became a mom.
Yeah.
Because working with them is a very flexible schedule. It's not something we do projects.
Right.
So, we'll go for a busy week, and
Yeah.
then we'll have weeks away from each other, and then another one. So it's wonderful. I cherish my relationship with them.
And another company, of course, that believed in you, and we just talked about that, is ABC News 4. And to me, it felt like it was home for you because you really learned a lot there. Take me back down memory lane and tell me, what were those years like?
Gosh. Hard and wonderful and challenging and fulfilling all at the same time. I grew up here.
Right.
And I knew in high school that I wanted to go into broadcast journalism. So then I went to USC, got my degree, had an amazing experience there, and I knew I wanted to come back home. I also didn't have any money to go and start a job somewhere else at the time. Yeah. And so I got my foot in the door at Channel 4 with a part-time job as a tape editor.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember when they offered me that job, the news director at the time said, "We really like what we see on your reporter reel, but we just don't have that open right now. Take a chance, do this job, and then I'll work with you." But I was so scared to do that. And I went home and I told my dad, I said, "I did not go to school for 4 years and spend all that money and time to take, forgive me for saying, but like a part-time job. You have this idea as a college student."
Yeah.
And my dad said, "I have a good feeling about this." And then I remembered a college professor, some of the wisest words that she ever told me, Professor Andrea Tanner, and she said, "Always remember, no matter where you work, dress for the job you want, not the job you have." And that applies everywhere because I remembered that, so every time I went in to edit tapes and learn and everything, I always either wore like the suit, jacket,
You know how tape editors are. They have on this big fleece jacket. And,
because when you're behind the scenes, you can wear jeans and a shirt, but I was always dressed as if I were ready to go on camera, or at least always had it in the car.
That's for success.
And it worked out. Slowly but surely, I got the opportunity to fill in report and then produce, and so I got to learn so many skills all at one place. It was awesome.
And you became one of the best there.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I remember back in 2005 when I was there as a production assistant, you came up to me and you told me that if you needed anything, come to you. And I'll never forget that.
Oh, Oh, good.
Yes,
Good.
yes.
Well, and it was great working with you then, and
Yes.
and you continue to do so much in the media world.
I'm doing best. Thank you. Thank you. And speaking of which, you work with a lot of people such as Justin Locke and Ryan Nelson. Take me back behind the scenes and tell me what was it like working with those two on and off here?
Oh gosh. I mean, well, they are the same on camera
Right.
as they are behind the scenes.
Sure.
So they were wonderful. I feel like Justin and I both did the morning show together
Sure.
at Channel 4, and I mean that was like my first big anchor job,
Right.
and so we got to learn and grow together, and it's been fun seeing him go off and grow, go to bigger markets, and then
come back.
thankfully he's back
Yeah.
working at Channel 5
5.
doing his thing, and he's a parent now. That's what's cool. Starting my relationships with them as, you know, us kind of young, single, married
Right,
people,
yeah.
and then watching our
Grow.
lives grow and change. And now Ryan,
Yeah.
she's a beautiful mother as well of a little girl.
Right.
Justin's a father of a sweet little boy.
Yeah.
So it's very nice, and I still keep in touch with them.
That is awesome. And you know, you touched on Channel 5 because from what I was told, and you just told me this recently too, you were a production assistant there.
Yeah. Oh, so I have a special place in my heart for Channel 5 as well.
Okay.
When I was in high school learning about broadcast journalism, thanks to one of my most wonderful teachers ever, Linda Vaughn, she helped connect me to Channel 5, and they were starting this teen program called Meanstreets at the time.
Yes, of course.
So I got to be a teen reporter.
Lou Parker.
Yes, exactly.
Love Lou.
Love Lou.
Lou, yeah.
I wonder what she's doing.
She's
I
in
miss
LA
her.
now, KTLA.
She is fantastic.
Yep.
And so I got to do that, and it was so fun. And that opened the doorway, so when I went to college, I would come back during all of my breaks,
Yeah.
and I would get to work in the studio as a production assistant.
Right there on East Bay.
Yeah.
those were the
Well,
good
actually,
days.
they weren't. Well, when I was in high school, they were on East
East
Bay,
Bay.
but then in college, they had opened up the new building
Charlie
on Charlie Hall Boulevard in West
Wow.
Ashley.
And so, tell me, what was so attractive about Channel 5 that made you say yes to that?
It was just a first opportunity.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just surprised that they would
Yeah.
want me to be a part of the program. So, what teenager, you know, would not accept that? It was
that.
great. It was a
Yeah.
good starting point, and I even have relationships and friendships that I formed then that I still keep now.
Now.
So it's wonderful.
Yeah. And speaking of experience, and I forgot to ask you this about your Channel 4 experience, you covered a lot of stories as a news reporter. Tell me, as you put on your memory hat, what particular story sticks out in your mind?
Gosh. Well, there are so many, and I do have a few. So, you know, without kind of rehashing all of that, I think for me, the stories that stand out are the
course.
ones that took me to those special little pockets in our community
Right.
that I may not have a reason to go to
Right.
on a regular basis. So you get to go to these different small towns and meet wonderful families
Yeah.
who may be going through a good time or may be going through some of the worst times.
Right.
But their situations and their lives in that moment stand out to me. And I still think about those people from time to time. I remember going to, it was terrible. It was a drive-by shooting out in Harleyville.
Oh, yeah.
And a grandmother had all of her grandchildren staying at her home. It was a humble little single trailer. And they were all in the living room, sleeping, watching a little movie, and it was a drive-by shooting. A couple of the children got hurt, had to go to the hospital, and I just going to that scene and seeing the signs of the actual damage and the blood and just the mess and the chaos, you know, that just does something to you.
Yeah.
You know, and so, but they seemed very resilient, so I hope that life is much
That's
better.
better for them.
But those types of things
Yeah.
stand out to me, and I appreciate it because it's sensitive times
Yes.
in people's lives, and you don't want strangers in your face asking you questions.
No.
But people trust you, and they open up to you and share those. So I'm grateful for that.
And let's continue to stay on the experience path because a lot of college students would want what you had, which was a paid internship at Bloomberg Television DC. Tell me, what was that like?
Oh gosh, that was unforgettable.
Yeah.
When I had the chance to go, I had moved to Washington, D.C. 4 days before the September 11th
Wow.
attacks hit. I kind of had this impression that, you know, I mean, I might do a few little things, but they might not trust me a lot because I'm just, you know, some know-nothing college kid. But maybe because of the circumstances when the attacks happened and the Pentagon was blocks
Right.
away from where we were located, it kind of was all hands on deck. and they trusted me with a lot of things. I got to go and do, you know, on the street interviews with people, and we would feed that video back to New York.
Right.
I would sit there and watch, you know, the live news streams of all the video of all the news conferences in DC, and take notes, and would, you know, send different sound bites to New York headquarters. They taught me a lot, and they trusted me with a lot there, and I worked very long hours, but I was very grateful to also get paid for those hours. And Bloomberg TV actually seemed to be a really excellent company. I really admire how Michael Bloomberg set up the company and the way it's structured. I always felt like he cared for his people in the different bureaus. And even the little interns like me. Yeah. So I'm very grateful for that opportunity as well.
And I want to take it back to September 11th, because tell me, how much did that change your life personally and professionally?
Oh gosh, I mean, everybody. I mean, anybody who was alive and old enough to remember.
I was in high school at the time.
Yeah, and I bet you remember exactly what you were doing when you heard the news.
Yeah, I was in school's library and heard it on there. CNN's website crashed because of the whole incident.
Oh wow. Yeah, I remember thinking, because right after it happened, well, we first saw a news crawl go across the TV screen, and it said unofficial report of, you know, an airplane hitting the Pentagon. And so I immediately picked up the phone and called the Pentagon, and a woman answered, and she said, "I can't talk now, a plane just hit the building," and hung up. And
whoa.
I mean, then just turmoil just took over. And as we were rushing, the photographer and I, down toward, making our way as close as we could to the Pentagon on foot, because you couldn't drive anywhere.
Right, of course.
We would see all of the military jets flying over, and I remember thinking, are we going to war right now? It was a moment that I couldn't ever forget. It was very scary at first. Yeah. And I called my parents, let them know I was fine. Yeah. And then what was really interesting was we worked very late that day. And so that night, they finally opened up the metro, and I could, you know, take the metro back home. Right. And it was, gosh, 9 o'clock at night. Wow. Everything was closed except there was a bar or some type of, you know, restaurant establishment right across the street from where the Bloomberg building was. Nobody seemed to be in there, but their door was actually open, unlike everybody else's. Wow. A television was on, and it was, you know, streaming live news. And all of our congressional leaders, all of our senators were all standing. The video was showing all of them standing on the steps.
Right, I remember that.
Of the Capitol building, singing our national anthem. And I remember just staring at it and just tears streaming down my eyes, because in that moment I felt like, wow, you know, united, we truly do stand.
We are.
It was amazing, and it was so polar opposite of how I felt earlier that day. And I mean, I couldn't have been more proud to be an American. It was a great moment. It really was. All would be well.
Absolutely. Well, fill in the blanks for me. NewbieMom.com is.
NewbieMom.com?
Yes, that's what it is.
Yeah, so that was a wonderful project that I got to do with a dear friend, Katie Newingham.
Oh, yeah.
Very talented, and she was the editor-in-chief of the program, excuse me, of the online website. And so we would just try and provide content that would interest, you know, local moms and dads about health and wellness, events happening in our community. And it was great. Right now, the project's been put on hold because life takes over. You know, we're both moms of young children, and so she decided, and collectively we're all like, you know what, it's okay, we'll take a break from it. So that's what we're doing right now.
Take me back to high school. Who was Angela May as a high school student?
Well, I was known as Angela McCurry in high school.
At Stratford.
Yep, at Stratford. Go Knights. Yeah. I love them. I was busy. I was probably involved in too many clubs and activities, but I just loved it all. So I did everything. A hard worker. I had to work hard for my grades.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the good grades didn't come extremely easy for me in all subjects, but I worked as hard as I could. And I would like to say that I was friendly. Yes. You know, I had so many friends in school, and of all walks of life, and I enjoyed my time there. People were good to me, and loved Stratford.
Yeah. Take me back to USC. What were those years like?
Oh, fantastic as well. Funny thing is whenever I was applying for colleges, I was accepted early into my first choice school, which was George Washington University.
Yes.
But then when all of the information came back and it said, yes, you were accepted, but you know, as far as the scholarship money, here you go. And they're out-of-state tuition so much.
Exactly.
And the money that they offered, we're like, oh, really? That's it. So my dad broke the news to me and said, honey, I cannot afford that. I boo-hooed, thought the world was over. So went to USC reluctantly thinking, oh, I cannot believe I have to go to USC. I wanted to just go so far away. But it wasn't where I was supposed to go. Once I started at USC, I realized this is exactly where God wanted me to be.
I was going to say that.
And everything was perfect. And what's funny is when I had that paid internship at Bloomberg, one night I had to go and cover a special speaking event that Colin Powell was giving at the GW campus.
Wow.
And randomly, I had ended up walking the same path to the actual speaking event that I walked with my father when we toured the campus.
Wow.
And it dawned on me, wow.
Full circle.
I still got to kind of come to GW, but yet through USC. So it was just great to be able to live in DC for 6 months.
6 months, yeah. And USC is one of the best journalism schools in the country.
Oh, goodness, yes. And I just didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
And the experience you get from USC through their communications program is, I mean, far worth the money you spend to go there.
Yeah. Marrying Jason in 2009 was?
Well, we got married. Jason and I got married in 2002.
Oh, I'm getting this off of Facebook, folks. Sorry.
It's all good. Hey, you can't trust everything you see
on
online.
Facebook. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so we just actually, towards the end of last month, the end of September, we celebrated our 12-year anniversary.
Wow. And where did you go?
We just hung around. Yeah, we got a babysitter, and I think we went and played putt-putt. You can't do that with a 2- and a 4-year-old. I mean, so it was serious. I lost, but, you know, it was a good game.
Yeah.
And we went out to dinner and just, you know, reflected on all that we've got to have in these 12 years together. So many more anniversaries to come.
There you go. Angela May is.
Always a dreamer.
Yeah. Your future is.
Always bright.
There you go. And it will be. It will be.
Same to you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Well, Angela May, it was so great talking to you.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it.